Sarah, and welcome to my live Facebook video. We have a lot to talk about today. Again, I have my table just filled with yarn and projects, and then we're also going to talk about being a naughty crocheter. I was going to call this Don't Be a Naughty Hooker, but I didn't think that would be too good. But basically what we're going to talk about is issues with when you buy yarn and there's a knot in it, or if you played yarn chicken and you ran out of yarn, how to join those yarns together. Oh, good. Everybody can see me. Well, oh, thank you for the nice comment. This is a butterfly shirt that someone bought for me when I was going through my thyroid cancer issues, and I just love it. It's all sparkly, and I forgot I had it, and I was looking for something white to wear under this teal sweater, and I found this butterfly shirt that I forgot I had. All right, now, if you're just tuning in, I know we had some issues with connecting, and if something happens and the video has to stop, what I'll do, just in case we lose connection, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and video portions of it that we're going to talk about, the naughty part. And then I can post that later, okay? Just in case we lose connection. I sure would hate to lose connection, but I'm having a little bit of trouble staying hooked in. Thought I'd give you that joke, hooked in. Well, I've got my hot coffee today. See, this one says coffee and crochet. This is one that I made using the Sharpies, and then I baked it, and I just picked up some regular white cups at the Goodwill store, and they have a lot of them there at my store. I don't know why, but it seems like they always have a lot of restaurant type, and these white ones are the best for just drawing on with your Sharpie and baking them in the oven. It's a lot of fun. It's a great group activity too if you've got like Girl Scouts or Sunday school class, or I don't know what they do nowadays. They used to have like Rainbow Girls and I don't know, I can't remember now, but whatever groups that you're in and you've got a lot of kids you want to do an activity or craft with, you can just give them a bunch of Sharpies. Now they are Sharpies. And then you can bake those cups. Anyway, everybody clink in. I'm so glad you're all here. Clink. And like I said, if we lose connection, we'll figure something out. All right, so I have a couple of questions today. One question that I got is, well, it's not really a question, it's more like an issue. I keep getting over and over and over the same question about knots in the yarn. And so that's what we're going to deal with in our demonstration, all right? And I'm going to talk a little bit about when you get yarn that has knots in it, and when you do yarn chicken, and a couple other issues dealing with knots. And then I'm going to show you that join that I use. All right, now the other thing is I get lots and lots of messages, emails, and comments about videos that you would like me to do. And I'll tell you, I try really, really, really hard to write all those down, put them in a list, and try to do as many as I can. I'm going through a lot of my older patterns, and we're having them retested, updated, adding extra information, new pictures, and brand new videos. And we are doing that. Some of them, it's just going to be kind of a rotation as we go. The other thing is, if you ask me for a pattern video from some other designer's pattern, I'm sorry, but I cannot do that. That goes against copyright infringement. And it's also a little bit unethical, and I know no one's meaning to be that way, but if you have a pattern that you really, really want done in a video, ask that designer first. And I have done other designers' patterns, like my daughter occasionally. We get together and I do that. But go to that pattern designer and ask her if, or him, we have a lot of great men designers out there now, and I love that. Ask them if they have a video for that pattern. And if they don't, a lot of times they can walk you through it, give you extra pictures, because I know you probably don't know this, but when I'm taking pictures of my items, I take about 100. And sometimes I save some of those because they're not like the best, but maybe they show a better angle or something. And a pattern designer can send you just a little bit more pictures if they have them. All right, I'm going to move this down. For some reason, my comments aren't moving down. There we go. All right, I see a lot of you here. Nikki, Tammy, Leslie, Jennifer, Crystal, Susan, Jennifer, Nana's Crafty Corner. Let's see. Make sure I got everyone. Carolina, Marlene, Tina Louise. I always love her name. Tina Louise. Vivian. Let's see. I'm going through here making sure. Heather, Dana. Go ahead and clink in and do you think you will do an egg apron? You know, there's a lot of them out there, and there is a video for one. I think it's her name's Celine that did it. Celine. But I don't have a pattern for one, and I may do one in the future, but I don't know for sure. So that's a good question, Susan. And so what you need to do is go ahead and message me or on my Facebook page, or comment here, or comment on the YouTube channel. Go ahead and put that in there. And then what I do when people ask for things is I put them on my list, and I try to do them what you would say according to the time of year. In other words, I do some Christmas things in the summer, but mostly I don't. And I do some winter things in the winter, but mostly I don't do summer things. You know what I'm saying? So we want to try to keep it within the weather of things. But also, don't forget that places like Australia, they're the opposite. So if you're looking for those things on the opposite side of the seasons, you could always check with some of those designers as well. Anyway, I just wanted to cover that. Alrighty, so are you a naughty crocheter or a naughty hooker? I just didn't want to call it that on YouTube. I was afraid they'd knock it off. Of course, we know that crocheting is hooking in our little world of crochet and yarn. Well, a lot of times we get yarn and we're going at it, crocheting everything we need, and we come across a knot. What do we do about it? There's other times, like we're just doing a nice simple single crochet. We calculated and we calculated wrong, and now we need to figure out how to join that in. Another time is if we're doing a circle. We calculated wrong again. We ran out of yarn. Or maybe we just want to change colors. So we're going to talk about that a little bit here. I'm going to click over to my other cam. Well, that's not the right one. That's my dog sleeping. That's what they do when I'm doing a video. That's their little bed they like to sleep on. They are always in the room with me anytime I'm ever doing anything. I can't even take a shower without my pooches around. All right, so I've got this big pile of yarn here. Let's move this out of the way. All right, so for this demonstration, I'm going to use this great big needle. I'm going to use my great big thick crochet hook. This is a J10, which is a 6.00 millimeter hook. And the first thing I'm going to talk about before we get to that join, the first thing I want to talk about is this. Like I said, I'm crocheting along. I miscalculated on my yarn chicken and I ran out. Rather than just taking your yarn and tying a knot, if you're in the middle of it, here's my single crochet. I'm getting ready to finish that single crochet. But rather than finish that single crochet, grab your new thing of yarn, and I'm using a different color just so you can see it. But even if you're using the same color, this works great. Pull that yarn in those last two hoops or loops of your single crochet and go right back to finishing your row. If you're changing colors, you'll get a nice consistent stitch. If we were to go ahead and finish that single crochet and then add our color in, we'd end up with an extra loop, and we'd end up, let me show you, get the right loop here, with a little bit of a mess. See right here, we've got that extra loop in there that we don't need. So before you finish your last single crochet in those last two loops, go ahead and bring in your new color. And I do it this way even if I ran out of yarn and I'm using the same color. And then you can just go right on. And another thing that you can do when you bring in your new colors on the back, or even if, like I said, you're doing the same colors, on the back of your work, go ahead and stitch over those tails. Okay, here's the front, here's the back. I stitched over those tails, and then I can come back in and make sure they're weaved in and clip them, and we don't have a mess. And you can get rid of the tails a lot quicker that way. All right, so let's move over here to the round one. And here I did double crochets just so you could see the difference. And when you're joining in, you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to keep those last 2 loops on, join that new color in those last 2 loops, snug everything down, hold those new strands of yarn. There we go. My finger in there. And we'll just continue working around our double crochets. And again, it keeps from having an extra loop or looking a little bit messy. And you can go ahead and stitch over those ends. Here's the front. Here's the back. We went ahead and stitched over those ends. And then you can weave those in, or you can go ahead and cut them. I usually do about 3 or 4 stitches when I'm going over my work. All right. So that's one way that you can do it. And that works really good at the ends of rows also. All right, but let's say you're moving along on your work. Let's move that one out of the way. And you come across a knot like this. And I was talking to someone probably a month or so ago about this. Yarn, naturally, the way that it's made, will have knots in it. Every company does their yarn the same. It's done on a machine, it's wound. When the machine gets to the end, the person watching that ties a quick knot. They usually add a yard or 2, and then they keep going. You get the extra yard, or yard or 2, so you have room to do a join. Now, I've always heard this called the Russian join, I should say lately. When I was first learning to crochet, the book that I had was written in 1882, and I actually just found it recently. And they had a page, it was just called different kinds of joins, and this was one of them. It wasn't called a Russian join, and I don't know why it is. But anyway, you've got the 2 ends of your yarn. Let's move that out of the way. And I'm using 2 colors so that you can see it. You thread the first one on your needle. You turn and go into the yarn that you're working and make a couple of stitches going through the fibers. Okay, then we're going to gently pull that through, and I put my thumb in the loop so I don't lose it. Okay, so now I've got a loop just like that, so I'm going to set that down. Now I'm going to pick up the other end, and I'm going to put my needle through this loop and pull that through, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to go in that yarn, couple of stitches going through those fibers. This needle's blunt, and I'm using thick yarn, so it's a little bit harder just to get it through. All right, so again, I'm going to put my thumb in that loop and just pull that. All right, so now we have 2 now we have 2 loops together. We're going to take the 2 ends, and we're just going to gently pull that like that. And now you have a piece of yarn you can work right over. And what I do is I go ahead, and I'll just go ahead and clip those just a little bit short, but not all the way up to it. And then I just go right ahead and work my stitches over it. I'm just doing a slip knot here. And you just go around it and go ahead and work your stitches like you would normally, whether you're doing a single crochet, double crochet, or whatever. And this works really good if you're changing colors in the middle of something and you don't want to have to jog it like this. It's just another way to join your yarn and take care of knots in yarn. Let me scoot back over here. Now, just so that you understand, it doesn't matter if it's a big company like Red Heart Yarns or Yarnspirations, or just a person that's working on their own. all yarn is going to have a knot from time to time. And the big companies that wind all of their yarn, like I said, with a machine, and there's a person standing there watching, when it comes to the end of these huge spools, they tie them together, give it a couple of turns, so that it has a couple extra yards on there so you have plenty to join with, and then it just keeps right on going. Another thing that happens is some of the stores like Michael's or Joann's that put their yarn in those metal baskets, the edges of those metal baskets have those, the baskets are connected like this, and then there's a pole that goes around the edge. Well, sometimes the yarn can get torn on those edges when people are putting them in and out, like stalkers or just customers like me. And sometimes you can end up getting it torn. Another way that yarn gets torn is when stalkers are using those box cutters and they open those boxes really fast and they slide right across some of that delicate yarn and you get tears. When you get things like that, take it back to the store that you got it from. Joann's and Michael's are really, really great about if your yarn has knots in it, and Hobby Lobby does too. Hobby Lobby's yarn is on shelves, and let's see, Walmart I think has theirs on shelves now too, if I'm remembering right. But anyway, some of the stores have them on shelves, and you're not going to get as many of those things. If you do get a bunch of knots, or you get a bunch of tears in your yarn or cuts, take it back to the stores. They're really good about exchanging the yarn. All right, so don't let that frustrate you. It's a total normal thing to get a knot or two. All right, and if you have any more questions about joining in yarn, let me grab that coffee and get a little dry. All right, if you have any more questions about joining in yarn, knots, or changing colors, go ahead and put those questions out there, and I'll try to get back to them and answer those for you. All right. Now let's talk about what's new this week at Posh Pooch Designs. Well, we did 3 different things. I had a lot of requests for, remember when we did the small ornaments? You can use those for coasters or decorations or tags or whatever you want to use them for. I had a lot of people ask me about the big ornament, and I already had it in the making, and so I got the video out, I think Friday, maybe Thursday. I can never remember because everything's written down on my calendar, and I try to just do what it says, especially because I change things around all the time. Anyway, so we got the pattern out on Thursday or Friday for the big one. For the, you can use this as a washcloth, you can use it as a hot pad, or you can use, hot pad pot holder. And these I did in the sparkly yarn. Now remember, this one has double thickness, so I put 2 together, and then I did the outside. Now you can do them with just 1 thickness like this with a cotton, and it makes a really nice washcloth, okay? But what I did with these is I decided I'm going to make a bunch, and I'm going to hang them in my entryway of my house, and I've got a bunch of blue spruce trees out front. I never put lights in them, but I thought it'd be fun to hang a bunch of these out there just for the grandkids or whatever, or the neighbor kids that like to come by. So we got that out there, and it's got both. You can do both options. You can do a cotton and do it thin, or 1 thickness, or you can do 2 thicknesses. It's up to you how you want to do it. I really love these 2 thickness ones because even though I did them in acrylic, you can still put something warm on there. Remember, don't put anything hot right out of the oven or right off the stove on acrylic yarn. Make sure you use cotton, all right? And I haven't been able to find any more sparkly cotton. The only place that I've seen it is Hobby Lobby, and they didn't have it in their Christmas colors. So just a little FYI there, because I love sparkly yarns for Christmas time. And so I do have a sparkly yarn I'm going to show you. Another thing that happened this week, I'm going to grab this, is I received this in the mail this week. This is the Kristen Omdahl bag, and I love the back. This is her thing she says all the time: create, share, and inspire. And so inside the bag, I got these, and this is the neatest thing ever. Now, this is a huge bag. This is a huge, huge yarn bag. It's got her logo on the front, and then create, share, inspire on the back, and it's a nice thick canvas bag. Then she also sent this. This is her Create, Share, and Inspire notebook. Volume 1, Issue 1. And it's got empty pages and things you can color. And really, it's just a journal. And I love this because we've been talking about doing the joy journals and keeping track of our crochet and things like that. And then she also sent me some gel pens. I'm so excited about this, with her logo on it. And some of the pens are thicker than others. And that's why you've got like 2 colors of certain ones. And I can't wait to get started with this. This is going to be so much fun. And one really cool thing that she does, when you order a set with the bag, the pens, and the journal, she also sends a set to a woman in a rescue or in a homeless shelter in need. And she does that a lot. You have to check her page. I'm trying to think what she calls it. Karen Cares Bundle. That's what this is. And that's what she calls Karen Cares, is her, I don't know if it's an organization or what, but how she helps other people. And I love that, because it's really difficult when you're out on, you know, people automatically assume that when you're homeless or in a homeless shelter or something, that you don't want to be creative, that you don't want to journal. And it's a great idea, and it's great for healing, to be able to get some yarn and crochet. And I mean, you all know, we've talked about this before. So anyway, Dawn says double thickness, you could make pillows. That's a great idea. And you could also do it with thicker yarn and get it bigger. It'd be a lot of fun to hang up. Okay, now, the other 2 patterns that we put out there this week is, I have to put these on because I love them, the fingerless gloves. And what we did is, I already had a pattern out there, and I changed it up just a little bit. We updated it. New pictures, new yarn, and a brand new video. I'm going the wrong way. And I love these. And they're called texting gloves, or fingerless gloves. You know what I call them? I call them crochet gloves, because anytime you're waiting on somebody, like at a football game, or up here there's a lot of hockey and things like that, you get cold, but you want to be able to crochet, and you can't crochet in mittens, okay? And if you put on regular gloves, you can't feel your fingertips. So these are perfect. All right. The other thing we did is, yesterday I had a request to redo this, and it's kind of interesting. I originally did this little keychain bag, and it's a great size to hang on a backpack. You can put your information in there. You can put chapstick. You could put medical information. If your children have peanut allergies, or like me, cinnamon allergies, you could put this in here and hook this on your children's bag. It also works great as a tag for your luggage. Well, I originally made this out of, let me grab this yarn over here. This yarn here, it's called Cordial from Red Heart. Well, they discontinued it. And it's a cord, and you could use paracord or craft cord, but they discontinued it. So if you want to make it with a cord, you're going to have to find another option. And that's why I say use paracord or craft cord, and it will work just fine. It's a good sturdy bag, and will take a lot of rough and tumbleness. Well, I ended up also making one out of this. This is Red Heart Strata, and that's what this one's made out of. It's not like a cord. It has a little more stretch to it, and it was a really great option. But Red Heart discontinued that one too. Now, I'm sure you could find Red Heart Cordial or Red Heart Strata on eBay or Amazon, or maybe in some of your share groups. And go ahead and try that. This bag works great with these 2 options, the Cordial and the Strata. Well, I decided to go on a search because my friend wanted one for her son to take to school. He has some interesting allergies and things, and also he wears a medical bracelet, and she just wanted his medications and everything in this bag in case something should happen. This is on his backpack, okay? So I came up with this. I was walking through, it was you can get this at Joann's and Michael's and Walmart. Joann's, Michael's, and Walmart. And this is the new Bernat Home Decor. And the fill of this is almost identical to the Strata yarn. And you get this huge amount, and it's a number 5 also. And that's what this one's made out of, is this green. I also bought it in a cream because I think I'm going to make me a rug to go on my back deck. We have a deck, we have an upper deck and a lower deck, and the upper deck has carpet. And I want to have a rug to go right outside that door, and I think this would be perfect for that. And then you can just pick it up and toss it in the laundry. And so this is a brand new yarn, and it's really cool, and I really can't wait to try it some more. And I really, really do like the way it worked up with this bag. So that gives you some options. Now, if you can't get a hold of some of that kind of yarn, you can use any number 5 yarn you have on hand. And it's a good idea to go ahead and try it on some. That way you can see if you like the pattern, if it's going to work for what you want to use it for. And it's perfect. You can hook it on your bag. You can hook it on your luggage, your backpack, your carry-on. I mean, whatever you're going to do. And I think they're perfect to put on your kids' backpacks for school, too. You can put their name and all kinds of things that they need in there. And they can add charms to it and ribbons and different things, you know. And because of how they're made, they're not like for a boy or for a girl. Just make it out of your child's favorite colors, and they've got a bag to put their information in on their backpack. And think about this. If they leave their backpack places, I mean, I know my kids did. They've got their information, and it can be returned to them as well. All right, so the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, and I'm really, really excited about this. I've been on a search, you know, for the Mandela yarn. And I went into my, my own Walmart this time. And they have everything reset. All the new yarns are in there. And I noticed that a lot of the yarn that was $1 2 weeks ago is no longer $1. A lot of the cottons, a lot of the Red Heart, a lot of the Mandela that are the same ones that I bought for $1 are no longer $1. And so I went up to the cutting table and I asked the girl about it, and she said, we just went crazy because we were setting our new modulars, getting rid of as much yarn as we could because we had so much. And now a lot of that yarn that was on sale for $1 or $2 in some places is no longer on sale. And then I looked up and I noticed this. Remember I told you I was looking for the sparkle? Let me pop on my glasses so I can tell you what color this is. This is called Aquarius. Check out how sparkly that is. Isn't that gorgeous? They had this one and several other colors. I think maybe 5, not a whole lot in sparkle. So I got this one because I just really love it. It's beautiful. It looks like a mermaid's tail to me. And so that's what I'm really excited about. I'm sad that I had to pay full price. It was like, I think $4.97. So, I mean, that's not bad. But all the Mandela yarn is no longer on sale. So, in saying that, I just went over 2 million views on my YouTube channel. Now, that's not subscribers. And if you don't subscribe to my YouTube channel, oh my goodness, go over and subscribe. Because what happens is if you subscribe and you hit that little bell, when I do a new video, you'll get notice of it. And you'll get noticed through YouTube, not Facebook or anything like that. But I go in and I check my views and all of those, you know, analytics and things. And I had gone over 2 million views. I was so excited. So I decided that it's time for another yarn giveaway. And because I got all that Mandela for $1, I'm going to do a Mandela giveaway. And I'll give you more details on it next week because I'm going to do it as a fall giveaway. Remember, I told you I love doing giveaways, and so I want to do another one. And I'm going to put it together. So be watching next week's live video or on YouTube, and I'll tell you all about the Mandela Fall giveaway, all right? I'm really excited about it because I want to share the fact that I got some really good bargains with some of you that can't get that yarn. Or maybe just didn't have time to go get it or didn't have the cash. You know, even $1, you know, you don't have $1, you don't have $1, right? And sometimes I don't either. And so I happened to have some, and I was able to pick some up, even though I went to several Walmarts. And so I'll put that all together, and I'll show that to you on next week's live video. Well, that's all I've got for you today. And like I said, if you've got any more questions, pop those underneath this video here or over on YouTube. And I want everybody on Facebook to know I'm glad you're here. And everybody that watches this later on YouTube, I'm so glad that you watched it. And I appreciate the fact that you do. And remember, I can't do this without you. One last clink in Clink. And I'll see you next week.